Regular session of the meeting of the City of 29 Palms. If we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Steve, would you join us or lead us? Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if you would like to stay standing, Reverend Peggy Ventris, St. Martin in the Fields Episcopal Church, will do the invocation.
Lord Jesus Christ, good shepherd of the sheep, you gather the lambs in your arms and carry them in your bosom. We commend to your loving care, we, your children, all of us. Relieve our pain, especially our brothers and sisters who are ill. Guard us all from danger. Restore to us your gifts of gladness and strength, and raise us up to a life of service to you. Hear us, we pray, for your dear name's sake. Amen.
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 Thank you, Peggy.
Thank you, Peggy.
You're welcome. God bless you.
God bless you.
Cindy, roll call, please.
Councilmember Wright.
Here.
Councilmember Bilderain.
Here.
Councilmember Ogilvy.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz.
Here.
Mayor Klink.
Here.
All present.
We did have a closed session today, and there was no reportable action taken. Changes to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, just one item. Supervisor Don Rao would like to address the council.
Okay, we'll do that as soon as we do the presentation to Food for Life after that, okay? Announcements, these proceedings may be viewed on demand on the City of 29 Palms website at www.29palms.org. You may also live stream this meeting by going on the city website and clicking on the meeting agendas link. Awards, presentations, appointments, and proclamations. Presentation to Food for Life for their participation in the Cash for Trash and Recycling program. We have already given the money to Food for Life as they cannot come to the meeting. So we want to thank Food for Life for doing their job of collecting trash. And maybe when it's time for them everybody to come back, maybe they can come in and let us know where they did it all, and we'll go from there. And Supervisor Dawn Rao, you are up next. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to join you this evening since we have the opportunity to sort of be remote and join our different councils. Tuesday nights are tough for me. There are multiple council meetings in the 3rd District that meet, so I wanted to take the opportunity to give you a brief update and then answer any questions that you may have on COVID and how it's affecting our community and the Morongo Basin, and to let you know a couple of upcoming events that we have. So we do have a brand new revamped COVID website that just went live at the county. So I encourage you and your staff to take a look at that. That website is sbcovid19.com, and it's a little bit more user-friendly and less public health-ish. So we have our COVID hotline that anybody can call for any questions that they have. It is 909-387-3911. And then most importantly to the Morongo Basin and your citizens, we have remote testing that's coming up at Copper Mountain College on April 22nd. That is a sign up at the website that I just gave you. There is no button that's live now, but you'll be able to click on that a couple of days before the 22nd to sign up. People need to have symptoms of COVID, so a cough, trouble breathing, respiratory problems, a fever, and then they'll fill out some paperwork. It's pretty simple. Drive-through testing at Copper Mountain College where they don't even have to get out of their cars. And then we will also have additional testing in 29 Palms, probably the first part of May, but we haven't determined the date nor the location as of yet. So stay tuned for that information. I am in touch with your city manager on a weekly basis, if not a daily basis, to be honest with you. Frank and I are in constant communication, so he'll have all that information as soon as I do, if not before I do. And we do have an Airbnb hotline. So the county in the unincorporated area is prohibiting short-term vacation rentals from operating right now. And that's sort of to encourage people in Southern California area to stay at home and not come visit us right now. So if you have people in the unincorporated areas that are still renting us out, hotline specifically to deal with that, to take the burden off of our sheriff's department and our code enforcement. That number is 888-399-8591. And then lastly, and probably most importantly to your jurisdiction, is what we are having to go through with our Fire Protection 5 districts. We received enough signatures on a petition to have that go to a vote of the citizens in November. Decided to let the citizens vote on that. And the unfortunate part as it relates to 29 Palms is it would potentially repeal the entire fire protection zone. And that includes Needles and Upland, 29 Palms, San Bernardino, and then the area of Hellendale. All of those areas decided to be a part of that. So unfortunately, it doesn't repeal the expansion area. And Chief Muncy gave an update at our last Board of Supervisors meeting that if that were to pass, what that would mean, and it would likely mean reductions in services for our partner. So I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that was upcoming, and we're still working through the details of that. So happy to take any questions or answer anything, and I appreciate the opportunity to be.
Thank you, Dawn. Any council members have any questions? We'll start with Carmelette. Are you there?
Regarding the remote testing, so there's no need for a doctor's order, just any citizen can get tested?
Any citizen, you can be a resident of any jurisdiction. It just happens to be up here in the Morongo, so we're really wanting it to be people from Wonder Valley down to Morongo Valley and all the way out to Landers and Lucerne Valley. So you don't have to show the proof of residency for the Morongo Basin, but that would be our hope. You sign up online. It is free testing, no doctor's orders. And the reason why we have the sign up button a couple of days before only is because if you signed up today for that April 22nd and you still had it, you would likely be in the hospital or it would have passed your system by then. So it's a 48-hour window is what we're really having for the sign up to make sure that you have the symptoms of COVID.
Okay, and one other question, you may have mentioned it, the website that they go to sign up?
Sure, it's SB, stands for San Bernardino, COVID, COVID, the number 1, the number 9.com.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? So Dawn, can I ask you this? You say that this is, the one at CMC is for the Morongo Basin itself? Can anybody like from the Coachella Valley come up and get it done, or is it
San
anybody?
Bernardino County residents only.
San Bernardino County residents, okay. Because you say you don't have to show proof of residence, so someone down below in Riverside County could come up and possibly get it, right?
But you will have to fill out the application online to screen for testing, and that does have your address on it.
Oh, okay, all right. Very good. Anybody else?
And the other thing, Mr. Mayor, too, is that the California Department of Public Health will be notifying you of your positive or negative results, so you really wouldn't want to lie and give
Right.
an address that wasn't yours.
Yeah. Well, you never know, unfortunately. Okay. Anybody else? Travis? Captain of the Chief, do you have anything for Dawn? No?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dawn. Oh, wait, we have,
Don't think it-
hold on.
Sorry. Could you repeat just a little bit of the highlight of what's going to be on the ballot in November?
What's going to be on the ballot in November? Kind of a highlight for our Z1077 partner here.
So the Red Brennan Group, which is a private group, collected enough signatures from citizens in the Fire Protection 5 district to place a ballot initiative in November for the citizens to choose whether they want to repeal the entire FP5 zone or if they would like it to stay.
And we're included in it.
There are the original action, and this gets a little confusing, but it was originally voted on by the people in Hellendale by a 2/3 vote that they wanted to create the Fire Protection 5 district, that zone. And then through LABCO, 4 additional times, it was expanded, much like it was for you all, to incorporate Upland, Needles, San Bernardino, and 29 Palms at different times to have you all served by that fire protection zone. And then most recently, it was expanded by a vote of the supervisors that was a protest vote, that was what was so contentious and controversial that most citizens didn't really like being told through a protest vote that that's what was going to be thrust upon them. So even if they wanted to pay that $157, they didn't like the process. And so we at the Board of Supervisors had voted to sunset that process in the expansion area, but unfortunately our efforts were preempted by the Red Brennan Group that has enough signatures to bring this forward for not just the expansion area, but for the entire Fire Protection 5. And a matter of fact, I just asked for clarification. How can Hellendale, that voted it in by 2/3, how can we now vote to overturn their vote of the people? And apparently that's what this is going to do if it's voted in. So your jurisdiction will definitely want to make sure that you weigh in on that and have an understanding of what that will do to your fire services there.
And Mr. Mayor and Supervisor Rao, so Chief Muncie reached out to me today. He's going to be coming to our council meeting May 12th to kind of discuss this and the potential impact, both plus and minus.
Very good.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, anything else for Dawn? Okay, we'll move on to council comments and reports of meetings attended. Councilmember Ogilvy. Thank you, Dawn, by the way. Thank you. Councilmember Ogilvy.
I don't believe I attended any meetings. I've seen several of the citizens of our city when I was at the clinics, but that's the extent of it.
Okay. Councilmember Bilderain.
No meetings attended.
Councilmember Wright.
Yes, we did do MBTA audio. We just pretty much kind of voted on some policies and things like that, and normal routine business. MBTA is still running routes, practicing social distancing and stuff like that. And that's it.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem Mintz.
No meetings for me. Air quality meeting will be remote on next Monday, or we could go in, I guess, but I'm just going to do mine remote. So I'll have an update for you next meeting.
All right. And I had an SBCTA meeting, virtual. Kind of strange doing it that way, but I guess that's the norm for right now. And not much discussed about anything up here in the high desert. And then, of course, or the Morongo Basin, the Measure I meeting was canceled. Okay.
Well, one more thing, sir, sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
I did attend the Morongo Basin Transit Authority telephone conference meeting. So that was my first one, and they seemed to be a very good group to work with.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, we'll be moving on to the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are to be considered routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately by the City Council. The public will be given an opportunity to comment on consent calendar items prior to the City Council action. So if anybody out there that's listening to us now, if you have any questions about the consent calendar, please type in your question or your comment to, where does it go to, Cindy?
To the info@29palms.org.
To info@29palms.org. Okay, do I have anybody that would like to pull any items on the consent calendar? Do I have anybody from the city or citizens? Nothing? Okay, bring it back to council.
Well, I move we accept the consent calendar. I abstain from the warrants for Project Phoenix 10314, 10336, 10343, and 10356, possible conflict of interest.
Second.
I have a motion by, again, Mayor Pro Tem Mintz with all the check numbers, and seconded by MacArthur Wright We'd like to have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Bilderrain.
Aye.
Councilmember Ogilvy.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz.
Aye.
Mayor Klink.
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
We have no public hearing, discussion and potential action items, fiscal actions due to COVID-19. The city council consider the following actions. I'll go ahead and read most of them so that the people at home know what we're going to be talking about. Defund and close out the following projects: Trails Flood Control Plan, Animal Control Quarantine Building, Amway Bike Path, Hatch Sullivan Bike Path, El Sol Curb and Gutter, Playground Equipment, and Electronic Sign for a total of $860,786.67. Allocate funds to the following projects: replacing roofs and repair animal control building for a total of $100,000. The defunded and closed out project funds will be reallocated to the following: COVID-19 stabilization fund for $380,000 and Project Phoenix for $380,000, and approve the budget transfers adjustments to accomplish the recommendations. City Manager Lucchino.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Tonight is the review of the potential actions with the impact fiscally with COVID-19. There's only one action tonight as it relates to the defunding of the projects, as the mayor mentioned, but we will review all the potential impacts and kind of look at some future actions that may need to be made. I think I'm not going to do the PowerPoint. I'm just going to run through the slides because I don't want to lose the people on the phone. Is everybody on the phone? Can you see the PowerPoint? Or online can see the PowerPoint? Carmelette, Captain, Don?
Can any of you that are on the phone, can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Okay, so in summary, we're going to be looking at the revenue forecast for the rest of this fiscal year, beginning with the impact from COVID-19, which began in March. So we'll look at the rest of our fiscal year, March, April, May, and June. We'll also look at revenue forecasts, and I'm only going to focus right now at this point on revenue for 2021, which is our next fiscal year. We'll review actions that staff has already implemented on a staff level and the impacts of that. Then we'll recommendations of the closing and defunding and reallocating of the general fund capital projects. Then finally, look at potential future actions. So cash, these. Focus right now at this point on revenue for 2021. So these are all of our cash accounts, and the city is very liquid. So we have the ability to access the funds that are on the screen. In addition to or within the liquidity that you see in front of you is our reserves. Our reserves sit at $6 million. So the city is very solid to be able to weather the storm, if you will, through this crisis. And I know in talking to a lot of the council members about this, and starting for council member Builder and keep on facing this direction, in addition to the cash, or within the cash, we have our reserves, and our undesignated reserves are at $6 million. And, the reserves are very stable, and the council has that ability to access them. Through this process, I'm not going to be recommending to access, the reserves. And the primary reason for that is the reserves, just like your personal savings, is should be there to fund something one time, fund as we've done in the past, pay off debt, pay off our PERS debt, buy something, buy a bike path, construct a bike path as we've done in the past, and things like that on a one-time basis. In addition to that, you can use, your reserves, and this is all best practice, again, the council could look to go other directions on this, but the other thing that you would use it for potentially is a bridge from point A to point B. In a scenario like this, you would want to start, and we know where the starting point is the beginning of COVID-19, and the bridge would lead to the end of COVID-19. The problem with that is not really sure where the end is. We know where the beginning is, but we sure not know where the end is. And if you use your reserves for the ongoing expenses and not know where the end is, you could bleed it to a very low point. But we do have access to those reserves from a policy perspective. Looking at this fiscal year, this current fiscal year that we're in right now, COVID-19 happened in March. So kind of reviewing the major categories of our revenues. Property tax, this year I'm not anticipating a impact in property tax. Property tax assessments, the rolls go out in September. The county does teeter our real property taxes, which means, we will receive those funds. The unsecured property, though, however, still is, we could have a delay in payment in that. The county has or is not charging a late fee up to July 31st. So there could be a delay there. One of the things, with the city of 29 Palms that we're fortunate of compared to other cities is we receive a high amount of property tax, versus other cities. And so we do have volatility within sales tax and TOT, but not as great as maybe other cities. Sales tax, we definitely are going to see an impact here. As we all are living through right now, we're relatively closed in the month of August or April. We have been working with our sales tax consultant, HDL, and looking at the impact and the impact as far as loss of revenue. And we anticipate about $140,000 loss of revenue through this 3-month period, 3+ month period. TOT, same thing. April, the current month, the vacancies, there's nobody at the hotels. Next month, hopefully things open a bit. There still will be probably limited activity. We're hoping for better activity, but definitely we think there will be some trepidation of folks that are just not sure yet. So we did reduce, what we anticipate for TOT to $211,000. And recreations, another big area that we believe will take a hit. And we looked at our income, our deposits from last year, March, April, May, and June. And obviously April we have nothing. March we were cut. And, we'll probably have some limited in May and June. And so we have a reduction there as well. So all total, in this fiscal year, we're looking at a reduction of about $439,000. Next year, fiscal 2021, I am anticipating some property tax valuation hits, and a lot of this, and I know through our agenda reviews kind of talking about it, that I could be wrong. I could be wrong one way or the other. Hopefully I'm wrong on being too conservative and it comes back quicker. But I also could be wrong on a negative side, that the impact could be worse than estimated. So that's why it's real important, because there's just so many unknowns still out there that we'll be watching all the sources and keep close track of this. But definitely on property tax, I think there will be some impact there on value. I think those people that may otherwise would be buying may not be buying, and may turn those buyers out there to get better deals. And in turn, it would, lower some, assessments, through this last few months of the year. So I anticipate a small hit to property tax, nothing huge, but nonetheless a hit there. Sales tax, again, same thing. Working with HDL on the impact. The estimation there is we will be fully recovered by December, January, based on their analysis of it. Because again, there'll be hesitation, there'll be a trepidation of kind of going out and visiting, is their analysis, going out and visiting some of our restaurants, bars, and et cetera. So about $158,000 hit in sales tax. TOT, the California Travel Association, is anticipating a 30% cut in travel, and that's not only leisure travel, it's business travel. As we're doing today, doing the remote meeting, there will be many folks that otherwise would travel, get on a plane and, come to 29 Palms, maybe go to the base for a meeting and et cetera, that they're looking at, there's going to be a lot of impacts post-COVID-19. And, Americans may be looking at things and doing things differently than they once did, and travel will be impacted, and they're calling for a 30% cut. And that's a big deal for 29 Palms. That's $352,000. We're anticipating a small impact, in recreations. We think by July, we get back to some normalcy, if you will. But we do acknowledge, at least a bit, that there will be probably some folks who, maybe keep their kids out because they just don't want to be participating in the sporting activity, or they've been out of work for a while and they just, can't afford it. So, we definitely took that in consideration as it relates to a reduction in those fees, with a grand total of $585,000 next year. So some of those 2 years, over $1 million in savings or in lost revenues. The staff has kind of taken some action thus far. We talked to our staff about freezing steps and COLAs over a 12-month period, so it affects all the staff within that 12-month period, and that's $77,000 hit. The city furloughed all of our part-time staff, and that was over a $70,000 savings. Then we looked at our staff and wanted to, those who could, offer a voluntary furlough, and some staff have came forward to that, and that's just through June 30th, and that was over a $30,000 savings. Then finally, miscellaneous cost. We unfortunately cut back our lobbyists, which is a big help for the city, but given these trying times, that was one of the things that that probably we just cut back on. I do have to say, the Gonzalez Group, which is our state lobbyists, realized the impact, and they said they will continue to lobby on our benefit without us having to pay for them. So that was, a real commitment to, our needs out there, which I appreciate that. Then finally, travel and training, we've kind of put a freeze on that at this point. And again, just, hoping that, planning for the worst and hoping for the best. And so, that's, the impact that staff has made thus far on some of those savings in the first couple of years, and that's about a $400,000 savings. So this kind of summarizes the 2 years, the revenue losses in those 2 years, the actions that staff has taken, the federal help, you see the question marks there. We still don't know the exact amount that will impact the city. So within the CARES Act, the money goes to the state, and the state and HCD, which is the Housing and Community Development Department, will allocate these funds to the cities. They're still talking about it, of how to allocate it. One of the methods is population, which would be great. We have, because we've annexed the base, we have a higher population on our books, so that's great. But we, at this point, just not sure of that dollar amount. There is, however, a talk of a stimulus 4, and the stimulus 4, part of that is helping out the states, the counties, and the cities, because we're all products of the economy, and the economy is shut down. And how does that affect the cities? It affects the cities pretty dramatically, and so the feds realize that, and it's talk of a forced stimulus. We'll have to wait and see how and if that comes together. The next line is a real wild card in this. So as the council is aware, the State Board of Equalization has deferred their sales tax for 90 days. And even in addition to that, if you're below a threshold of earnings, you could take a loan on that sales tax up to, depending on what your sales tax is, up to $50,000 for 1 year. So in addition to that, we've talked to our hoteliers here locally about doing the same, matching that same process, that 90 days. And that'll be kind of a conversation we have later on in the meeting about some things I need to get some policy guidance from the council on. But so we've offered the same thing for the hoteliers, that 90 days. So as you can see, that deferment is almost $600,000. So in an ideal world, you defer it 90 days, and we'll collect it 90 days later, in theory. We're not sure, again, where the economy is in 90 days. And there will be, probably, unfortunately, probably some bankruptcies and defaults on that. So I put in a factor of 5%, that some businesses and hotels may just not be around anymore, unfortunately. So I did put that there in the forecast. Then finally, our sheriff's department increase that is on the horizon, that is an increase that is about $240,000. Although not revenue, I still want to, put that, on the radar screen of the council. I know we continue to, all the cities in San Bernardino County are, within the same boat and feeling the same pinch on this. So, hopefully we can get some resolution and some relief on that. So if you look at all of this together, that's almost almost $900,000, $890,000 of lost revenue over that 2-year period. Again, the question mark of federal help, what does that mean? How much that is? Again, this will be an ongoing discussion, and as I get more information, I'll let the council know. The action tonight is taking another step into, solving and closing this gap. So these are all of our capital projects, and I apologize, the light green is somewhat of an eye test, and probably the yellow too, but these are all of our capital projects that have been funded through our general fund. The things that, good years that we've had, we've put money into our general capital fund and financed projects that were important from a policy perspective and a need for the city. And so staff is recommending defunding, those in red. So just to read them down. Our Trails Master Plan. So one of the things that we were looking to do was to create a master plan for our flood channel that, would turn into a walking and biking path. You see that in a lot of cities, and I think that was a great goal that the council wanted to expand upon our trail system and our flood control channels. So we had the agreements with San Bernardino County Flood District, an MOU there. We were moving towards that. Unfortunately, given this crisis, I'm asking to defund that at this point in time. Animal control quarantine building, as the council has heard for several years, this is something of need. We have all of our animals in one facility, both, healthy and sick animals, although we separate them, they're in one facility. We have all of our animals, nice and mean, and I'll just describe them in that way, or aggressive, I should probably say, in one facility. And ideally speaking, it would be good to separate those into 2 buildings. We have, we've done some tasks to, for this construction. We purchased the steel building. We've done some septic work there, and we actually put it out to bid, and we only got 2 bids in. One was like $90,000, and the other one was like $400,000, I think, $500,000. So at this time, given the crisis, we have about $65,000 in this fund for the quarantine building. We're asking to defund and delay that project.
I have a question about
Sure.
that. Now, you say that there was a bid for $90,000. Is that to put the building up that we have sitting in?
Yeah, that was, to put the building up and all the concrete work, the plumbing, electrical, get the whole building up and running.
So it's basically $25,000 short.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, so staff is recommending to defund that and to really delay that, because we still do need that. The Amboy Bike Path and the Hatch Sullivan Road Bike Path, both of those, council has allocated money for those. We're asking to defund. However, and I will say however, though, on the Amboy project, and looking at a means of trying to fund this, we got the ATP, which is the Active Transportation Project grant funding that's coming out in June, I think it is, that this scores pretty well, we think. So we're going to submit the Amboy Bike Path to the ATP in hopes of that does get funded, but for the context of the general fund capital projects, we're asking that to be defunded. El Sol Curb and Gutter, as the council is aware, we applied for Prop 68 for the development of Knott Sky Park. Unfortunately, we were not successful, and the curb and gutter was something that could not be funded by the grant, so we put this in our general capital to be funded, and since we didn't receive it, we're thinking we should defund that as well. Electronic sign, we talked about electronic sign here in front of City Hall to get that defunded. Playground equipment, our playground equipment is old, and the recreational staff just has a hard time sometimes replacing those parts because they're old. It's still functional, but they're old. So we're asking to, defund those. The things that we're looking to augment, so all the in red was to defund. There was a couple that we were looking to augment the funding. So our roofs in our buildings, a lot of our roofs are leaking, unfortunately, and we were in the last budget looking to replace some of the roofs, and we allocated $50,000 for the replacement of the roofs, and when we got the bids in, they far exceeded that $50,000. So we're asking for another $75,000 to augment the 50, to have $125,000 to accomplish that task, those roofs within the city. Then the final one to augment is going back to animal control. The main building in animal control, an old building, it's a steel building as well. It's deteriorating, and the building needs to be reinforced. Have a lot of holes, if you will, in the building, a lot of access points for rodents to get in the building. So we need to, rehabilitate that building to get it to a health and safety for not only the staff, but the animals there. And so we're asking for $25,000 to do some rehabilitation work there. 3 of the projects that we're asking to just maintain, not touch at all. Theater 29 Pioneer Park, that's the application that we're putting in for Prop 68. We could, through this investment, leverage $8 million for the development of that project, so we're asking for that to remain. The skate park upgrade, as the council is aware, the skate park has some safety-related issues that we have to fix. We've already awarded that contract. I don't think it's complete yet, but we have awarded that, so we're asking for that to continue. Then finally is hardware and software upgrade within community development. Mr. Clark and his department have very little technology within their area, technology that can, one, be good for data storage of some of their legacy projects that are out there, but also to help with efficiency, as opposed to Word documents and Excel documents and other various methods of processing, to have a true enterprise system for community development. So we're recommending that continue as well. So in all total, there's $760,000 that we're asking to defund. And if I could I'll skip to the end here on the recommendation, and primarily that third bullet point. So that $760,000 defunding, what staff is recommending is to create 2 separate funds for that, or 2 different locations for those funds, one of which is a COVID-19 stabilization fund. So as we looked at that prior slide that had about $890,000 of revenue shortage, by my estimation, this 380 could use to help, close that gap, if you will. The other recommendation of that 760 is another 380 is to go to Project Phoenix. So Project Phoenix within this year's budget that we're currently in and next year's budget, because we were on a 2-year budget cycle, we were allocating funds out of our surplus, our anticipated surplus, and that is completely gone now, given the fiscal crisis we're in. So we're asking for that 380 to offset or replace that otherwise lost revenue for Project Phoenix. So potential future actions, we're going to be following the federal surplus to help cities. Hopefully that helps closing the gap. Again, working with the Sheriff's Department for relief and or reductions of programs and services, and other cost reductions. And, if the council so chooses, again, those undesignated reserves that are still out there. So just in summary, the recommendation, to defund and close out the following projects, which are the trails, flood control plan, the animal control quarantine building, Amboy bike path, Hatch Sullivan bike path, El Sol curb and gutter. Boy, it's really hard to talk a lot with this thing on your mouth, let me tell you. The El Sol curb and gutter, the playground equipment, and the electronic sign for a total of $860,000. allocate funds to the following project, which is placing the roof and repairing the animal control building for a total of $100,000. And as mentioned, dividing that $760,000 new monies, if you will, to the COVID-19 stabilization fund and $380 to Project Phoenix, and approve all budget transfers, adjustments to accomplish the recommendation. So that's my staff report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you very much for that. Council members, Carmelette, do you have any questions to ask Frank?
No, not at this time.
Okay, anybody else?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay. That's on. On some of these, like the bike paths and the curb and gutter, has any engineering been done? Have we spent any money so far to get those projects? Are we gonna lose money because we're gonna stop?
Well, we won't lose any money. So like the Amboy, we've done some grading, I think, on that.
Well,
and so we
staff
won't-
did that, right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
we won't lose any of that. You know, on the Hat Sullivan, we have a little bit of a legal expense because we don't have all the right-of-ways. So we were, looking to acquire the right-of-ways, but ultimately, that won't be wasted money either, because at some point, I think.
They don't expire.
It's- yeah,
That's,
it's
I'm asking, but I guess my question was, is any of this engineering that is gonna expire where we're gonna lose any money? Okay.
No, and we haven't done any engineering yet on.
Okay.
on this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mac?
Yeah, my question is in reference to if we brought this back, would we have to wait 2 years to bring it back because it's on a 2-year budget?
Oh, no. So the only reason that staff does a 2-year budget cycle is just for efficiency. However, at any point, as you have future agenda items and we have mid-year reviews and we see the economy coming back and we see surpluses come in, at any given time, the council could, say, hey, we got surplus at this point in time, let's do this project.
Okay. Gotcha.
Hey, is Dawn still on? Is Dawn still here?
I am.
Dawn, I have a question pertaining to the property taxes. I got a couple of calls today, and they said that they called the county and asked to pay for their property taxes, but they had to pay the late fees. Is that correct?
That is incorrect.
Okay, then what do they do then to get that taken off? Because they did pay the late fee. And the people that are down there, working down there, were, I guess, saying, too bad, you're late, you owe.
You can have them call my office and we'll help them out.
Okay,
I can give you that they can call when you're ready.
I need a pen. Okay, what's your number?
909
Okay,
387
387
4855.
4855. All right, Dawn, thanks.
Absolutely.
Okay, I have no questions for you. That was the only question I had for Dawn. Because you said there was not any fees, but they were.
Right, yeah, so 90 days, yeah, no late fees up until, I think it's July 31st.
Yeah, okay. All right,
And so, Mr. Mayor, given the recommendation, there's just a couple other things that I want to throw out there. So there's the recommendation in front of you this evening. Some other things to think about as it relates to the budget kind of going forward. And, it'll probably be within like the next meeting. So just wanted to get some thoughts and opinions and maybe some guidance from the council as we move forward. Couple things, Sheriff's Department, the contract, if, is that something, and I'll just kind of run down this list and maybe the council can give me, some thoughts on it and some direction on it. The sheriff's contract, that is definitely a very big contract, on I think it's a little over $4 million, on a $9.5 million, budget. So it's a big piece, of our budget. Potentially, as we kind of close the gap or trying to figure out to close the gap, one of the options potentially could be, looking at, a reduction of, a deputy, looking at maybe our traffic officer as a potential reduction. That's, every deputy, a 40-hour deputy, a traffic officer is about $215,000. So all these things that I'm going to kind of talk about, I know we're not ideal, and ideally speaking, the council would not have to want to even vote on these type of things and make any directions, but just wanted to give you some ideas of some of the things that staff is thinking about or working towards. The other thing is, as it relates to the sheriff's department.
So can
Oh, sure.
I think we need to get some tape or something to tape
I
your
know.
thing, because you're
It keeps on
constantly going
coming
like,
down.
yeah.
I probably shouldn't be touching, I guess, too. It's probably a fashion faux pas, touching this.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So the other item too that we're working through with the school district is fair share for the school resource officer. As the council is aware, the school district is, of a $215,000 deputy, the school district is contributing, I think the current number is right around $35,000 approximately. And the city is trying to get to that 50% level. Talking to the captain, and the captain is on the phone right now, the school resource officer is spending about 50% of his or her time, his in this case, at the schools. And I shouldn't say at the schools, working on school related issues. And from the city's perspective, we believe that the fair share is 50%. And we're working with the school district now and trying to get that agreements of what fair share looks like, to get that, contribution to, what it should be.
I have a question. Captain, are you on the line?
I am here, sir. I can hear you.
Okay. I guess my question is, obviously, school's been out for a while. We've been, I guess want to, so the people would know, the deputy that we're paying most of that for, he's been working in the city of Twine Palms all this time, right?
Yes, sir. So the school resource officer, once the students stopped attending school in person, became another 40-hour patrol position. It's primarily still through the normal day shift weekday, because we're still getting a lot of juvenile-related calls. So because he has an expertise in that field, and it is a specialty type of law enforcement, he's handling those, and then absent a juvenile-related call, he handles routine patrol calls for service. It's the way we normally operate through the summer months. We've just expanded it right now because of the current situation.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to get that out. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the other topic just to consider too is the usage of reserves, if there was a desire of the council to do that. TOT deferrals, I know, we've had a lot of dialogue in emails to the council and even letters from some of the hoteliers about doing something more than just the 90 days deferral. So that is something to talk about. And, from a recreational perspective, during the summer, do we want to curtail some, activities, reduce some hours, things like the pool, maybe opening only on weekends. So those are just some of the things to kind of, not looking for any, definitive answers this evening. The only direction that we need tonight as it relates to the defunding of the capital projects, but just wanted to talk about some other issues that are kind of lingering out there that will be in front of you in future council meetings for final decision. And that concludes all my comments.
All right. Thank you very much. Any more discussions? Do we have anybody from the citizens, any emails or any questions? If you want any, ask the council any questions on this, info@29palms.org. You got about 30 seconds. Okay, let's bring it back to council for further discussion and motion.
Well, I can make a motion. I can just read number 4, right?
Yeah, but does the council have any thoughts or comments on any of the items that I mentioned too? You know, like outside the motion, definitely we need the motion, but things I mentioned about the sheriff's contract, school district, use of reserves, TOT, and, you know, recreational activities in the summer. Any thoughts or opinions of any of that, you know, outside of the recommendation this evening?
No, just put the numbers together, so when that time to make that decision, we're well informed, but there's not gonna Chicken Little it right now and start making decisions, like, why not?
Yeah.
At least have it prepared,
Okay.
so when the worst case scenario does hit, hopefully not, or we have information, we're not asking the questions, then
Okay.
we already have all the answers. That's me.
I have something to say.
Oh, I'm sorry, Carmel, go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Okay, I think that we should look really hard at canceling anything dealing with the green, one of the few green spaces we have here in the city for the kids. So summer programs, I think, probably should be off the table. And I think that we need to do, really have a discussion as far as with law enforcement. I think it's absolutely necessary, and we need to always keep it in our school systems in order to keep our children safe.
Okay. Kind of agree on the summer with the swimming pool as well, you know, are they all going to be wanting to come after all this to go swimming with everybody around? And something we'll have to decide when we are able to go out and be amongst each other again. I don't think we can make a decision now, because it might be till after June or July that they're gonna say, okay, you can go out and have your 10 people parties and stuff like that, but I don't think we can make a decision on that one, that's for sure. Anything else? I think on the hotels, I think maybe we can make a decision next meeting. I still want to think about that. Maybe we can come up with something that'll be meaningful for both the city and the hoteliers. So everybody just be thinking about something, anything that'll make us happy and them happy.
Well, the thing with the TOT, that's really, it's not their money. It's money they collected from the visitor that's put in trust to them then to pay to the city. So it's almost like sales tax. So that would be, the state is giving a 90-day deferral. I mean, I don't know why that could be a possibility, because like I say, that money's entrusted to them just as in their sales tax to give to the state. So
Would we be interested then in, instead of having them have to pay that amount, I don't know how much each hotel pays, some pay more, some pay less, to make that payment on their, not all at once, maybe on a monthly basis to try to catch up?
Oh,
Because
yeah,
you know they're
there's-
going to use that money.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they are. I mean, so that is a possibility, yeah.
Okay.
This TOT is for taxes they collected from January, right?
January, February, and March.
And we didn't go into this until March, mid-March. I'm gonna leave it right there.
Okay. Very good. Okay, so we're going to come back after we've discussed those and come back for a motion on item number 6.
Okay, so I can read just number 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I make a motion that we approve all the budget transfer adjustments to accomplish the recommendations.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Wright and seconded by Councilmember Bilderain to approve all the budget transfers adjustments to accomplish the recommendations. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Ogilvy,
Aye.
Councilmember Bilderain,
Aye.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz.
I, except for I abstained from the number B, Project Phoenix, allocation.
Mayor Klink.
Aye.
Approved 5-0 with the exception of B.
So, can somebody mention the census?
Sure. Do it in manager's comments.
There you
Okay, yeah. Okay, you could actually do it here, and this one here too, if you want. Future council-initiated items. Councilmember Ogilvy, do you have anything out there?
No, I don't, except for everyone to be safe and wash your hands.
All right,
Oh,
thank you. Anybody else?
Oh, yeah, I just want to remind everybody about the census, going online and making sure you fill out the census, especially now. I mean, you know, it's something that we're going to need in the future. And sometimes, Carmelette, I don't wash my hands just because I think about you. I'm just playing.
Get on them, Carmelette.
I'll give you a class, okay?
Okay, seeing or hearing no more council-initiated items, we'll go on to public comments. This is the time for the public to address the city council on issues within the jurisdiction of the city council that are not on this agenda. As I'm reading this, I urge the citizens to go online to info@29palms.org if you have any announcements that you would like to make. All comments are to be directed to the city council and shall not consist of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during their comments. There is a time limitation of 3 minutes per person. If you haven't already done so, please fill out name and address slips and give them to the city clerk. The city council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. Public comments on specific agenda items are heard at the time that item on the agenda is considered. And we do have these. Do you want to read them or do you want me to?
It's up to you.
Okay. I'll let you go ahead and read the first one,
First one?
and then I'll read the
They
second
did
one.
ask this one to be read first.
Yeah.
Okay, it's from Karen Sachs Foundation, and it's a public comment. Let me start the timer. Karen Sachs Foundation is a Morongo Basin 501c3 nonprofit public benefit charity that strives to benefit all local Morongo Basin residents. Karen Sachs Foundation public benefit programs receive no governmental funding and seek to provide advancement and maintenance of personal and public intellectual growth, which is an essential tool. Otherwise, hunger and poverty shall never be eradicated. During this coming summer 2020, the Karen Sachs Foundation is planning to offer internship programs in the fields of science, law, music, and art. Any interested undergraduate or graduate students should go to the Karen Sachs Foundation website at www.karensachsfoundation.org for information. All interested students would be advised to email the Karen Sachs Foundation at staff@karensachsfoundation.org with specific questions as well as submission of resumes concerning a particular internship area. The Karen Sachs Foundation continually issues public press releases, reports, notices, and bulletins concerning scientific, legal, and cultural issues that directly affect the lives of Morongo Basin residents. The Karen Sachs Foundation's Adobe Little Band Youth Orchestra, which is a free, no-fee musical education and performance program for low-income Morongo Basin residents and active duty militaries, has suspended all rehearsals and concerts until such time that present COVID-19 stay-at-home restrictions are in place.
And then I have another one from Karen Legal and Professional Office. Karen Legal and Professional Office is supported by the Karen Sachs Foundation and offers free legal services to the low-income persons. During early March 2020, Karen Legal and Professional Office was faced with the public and professional dilemma of involving itself in attempting to combat the public panic that was emerging because of the COVID-19 virus. National news media was employing lynch mob mentality and waging health-free fear terrorism that instantaneously ripped apart the American economy, stripped every U.S. resident of all guaranteed constitutional rights, and worse, resulted in the mass imprisonment 300 million innocent people. On March 19, 2020, the Karen Sachs Foundation Medical Division coined a new term in the English language. That term was corona hysteria. the fear of coronavirus that could not be justified in accordance with known standards of medical authority. Nearly 100 written communications were sent to the governmental, political, and health officials showing beyond a reasonable doubt the anti-COVID-19 measures were unnecessary and wrong, but Corona Sachs Foundation efforts were nearly 100% ignored. Most sadly, corona hysteria showed that America, as well as most of the civilized world, lacked strength or courage to resist being immediately reduced to rubble by an unidentified enemy holding a weapon of imaginary fear. The absolute lack of courage that the world displayed in facing the reality of corona hysteria can only be described as an elephant jumping off a cliff in order to avoid being assaulted by a mouse. The weapon of fear employed was nothing more than an average flu-like illness. This illness is one which has always been part of human existence and has never been previously feared to the point of public and governmental self-destruction. The fear resulted because of ignorance of medical knowledge among the average person. This includes public and government persons. As a final plea, in accordance with the duty to our county, the Corona Legal and Professional Office asks all honorable members of 29 Palm City Council, the city manager, and the city attorney to do what is right and to immediately lift any and all stay-at-home restrictions and rights to conduct lawful businesses as a direct objection and protest against both the County of San Bernardino, State of California, and the sovereign federal government of the United States. The State of California, as well as cities and counties like San Francisco, blatantly disobeyed and obstructed federal immigration efforts by claiming to be sanctuaries. Therefore, the City of 29 Palms has an equal right to disobey and lift stay-at-home restrictions based on a complete lack of medical evidence necessary for the state and county to impose such restrictions. As a result of the devastating effect of corona hysteria, the Corona Legal and Professional Office has pledged to undertake special efforts to advance legislation that will create both new state and federal laws aimed at imposing restrictions on news media agencies as well as any health organizations from ever propagating a similarly false health-related terrorism again in the future. Perfect. Okay. City manager update.
Well, since it's hard to talk with this mask and probably went on too long today, I have no other updates.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. All right, if there is no more business to conduct, this meeting is adjourned at, oh man, we didn't even get started. It's only 6:04. I mean, 7:04.